Hello, and welcome to the Introverted Manager. Today I would like to talk to you about version control and what can you do when your company does not have Git. Let's try to get as close as possible and see what we can do there. Let's dive right in. If your company uses Power BI, the chances are high that they probably build their infrastructure around Microsoft tools. In that case, you probably have access to Microsoft Teams and SharePoint. Let's see how we can utilize those tools to get as close as possible to version control. Don't get me wrong, if you have access to Git, you should use Git. Absolutely no questions here. But if you do not, let's find some workaround for that. And this will be our starting point. If you have access to Microsoft Teams, let's start here. So what I have here is a team prepared already with a general channel. And what you will do is you navigate to files. In there, you can either create new folder, up to you, and you can choose between two options, either sync or add shortcut to OneDrive. Make sure that OneDrive is installed on your PC as well. This is important. Between those two options, doesn't really matter. They all serve the same function. It's just they will appear differently on your PC. I prefer sync because once I do that, what happens is now I have separate section in my file explorer, which links to that folder under that general channel. Let's add some report in there so we can see how it will work. So I have some sample report here already. As you can see, it's synced to the SharePoint. It appeared here as well. And now every time you make some change, and let's make some change just to see how it works. Let me open it up. Report is up. Let's make some change. And it doesn't really matter what we actually change. And now let me close it and save it. As you can see, it's synchronized to the cloud, or in this case, SharePoint. Let's go to SharePoint and check it out there. So if you didn't know, Teams uses SharePoint as a file storage. So what you see here is actually UI for the SharePoint, which means we can open it and go there. And that's our SharePoint and our file here. If you right click, here you can actually access version history. And you will see that we have two versions. Initial one, and then the version that I changed. But of course, once you work for days on report, you will probably have tens, if not hundreds, of versions of that report. Which is still an improvement because anytime you need to roll back, you can roll back to older version. Don't get me wrong, it's way better than not having any versioning. But what you see here on the right is a comment section. So let's try accessing this to be able to leave comments for our versions and see which changes we're making. This will require a few more steps though to work. So what you will need to do is to check out the file, and then you make changes. I will not be going through that again, but once you make changes, you have to check it back in. For example, at the end of the day or a few times per day. You check it back in and you type the comment. Changed date filter. It saves it, and if you go to version history now, you see your comment. So that way, you can always see which changes you made for each version and roll back specifically to that version that you need. So once more, if you have access to Git, please do use Git. If you do not, at least have some versioning for your files. It will save you some time when you need to roll back some changes. And it's a good practice overall. And actually, you don't have to go to SharePoint to check in or check out the files. Let's go back to Teams, and you can do it here as well. More, check out, and then when you want to check file back in, you can leave your comment here. For reasons unknown to me, you cannot access file history from here. For that, you will need to go to SharePoint. I don't know what's the reason behind that. Although, if you go back to your folder, you can actually access version history from here as well. As you can see. Again, you will not see comments here. So choose what works for you. And that's all for today. Subscribe and see you in the next one.